Whenever I go to the museum to stare at the grand paintings or marble sculptures, it's amazing to think that they survived hundreds, sometimes even thousands of years, for them to be on display for us today. And in these pristine walls, it's hard to remember that they've been anywhere else in any other state. Whether it's art made 100 years ago or today, they all battle for our attention to be preserved for future generations. But how much can art really decay over time, and what can we do to prevent that? Turns out, just sitting there can damage a piece of artwork. Prolonged fluctuations in temperature and humidity can cause oil painting to expand and contract over time. This can cause painting to crack or flake off, linen canvas can sag or buckle or become overly taut, and this will affect the paint on top of it. Wood will weaken and warp and splinter, and it can be susceptible to insects. Materials accumulate grime over time and darken, varnish can become yellow. Even the sun isn't good. If you ever put a poster or a photograph out by a sunny window, you may have noticed some discoloration. Fortunately, we have a group of specialists dedicated to the conservation of art. There are two types of conservation: preventative or passive, which includes all actions taken to slow the deterioration and prevent damage, without actually treating the object itself. This means providing optimal conditions for storage, hanging, exhibition, handling, and transport. The other is interventive, and this does affect the object's chemical, physical, or biological state. Interventive treatments can involve cleaning, stabilizing, repair, or even replacements of original objects. Restoration are actions that modify the existing materials or structure to represent a known earlier state. This can include watercoloring and flaked off paint to restore an original vision, and it's important to note that this should be done by professionals only and should be carefully documented and reversible as much as possible. Reconstruction recreates in whole or in part elements of missing cultural property. This is more often done for educational purposes and aims to promote an understanding of the object. In some cases, the non-original materials are clearly delineated, which is called anastylosis. Cultural property includes any work that is judged to have cultural, aesthetic, artistic, biological, or historical value. Of course, not every single object in the world gets preserved, so how do you decide what gets preserved and what isn't worth preserving? The museum curator, a wealthy donor, the museum director. As you can see, whoever gets to make that decision can alter what types of objects gets preserved. There's also a ton of debate within this profession, especially in the ethics of altering the state of a cultural property. How clean should you clean it? Is the rust on that pot valuable to the historical context? And history demonstrates that struggle. In the past, restorers have painted over paintings, altered colors and fashions to suit the current tastes. Even materials used in the past have caused problems today, as certain varnishes aren't as long-lasting as once thought, and they have yellowed over time. But in the end, conservation safeguards cultural property for future generations. Without someone there to make sure they don't degrade over time, our future babies won't be able to bask in the glory of the Mona Lisa crowd. Instead, they'll be staring at a pile of rubble that the Parthenon will become without conservation efforts. Thanks so much for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, please check out some of my other videos and subscribe for future ones. I'll see you next time.